Hey everyone, it's Schoolman 5000. We're back for another video, and finally we're taking a look at the main wave, Batman Returns, from McFarlane Toys. Been waiting a long time for this one.
You know how long I've been waiting for this?
And these have been kind of in stores for the past month or so, I want to say. I don't want to say the ship has sailed. They're still very exciting, especially to me. They're brand new. We already looked at the exclusives almost 3 weeks ago or something. Penguin is a lot of the same. We got Catwoman. We got this ultimate Keaton Batman, the best one ever. And then we also got the minions for the Penguin. That's what we're going to start with here. The Penguin minions, or Commando Penguins, as it says here. 22 moving parts.
Why the fuck you lying?
So here we are, man, the Penguin Commandos, and also a literal cardboard cutout of the Penguin that includes this jacket. And this thing's pretty funny. I'm going to definitely keep this, but really bizarre. Another bizarre thing is that this comes with a display stand, not a single peg hole on these Penguins. I'll start this off. I'll say I'm fully aware there is a vintage Batman Returns release, Penguin Commandos, what this is kind of homaging. However, we need to talk about this. This is a $35 action figure set. And what you're getting, these aren't accessories, by the way. These rockets on the back of the Penguins. I don't count that as an accessory. So we have 3 different sizes of Penguin, Minion, and these are static figures with no accessories. This is like something you could get at like Michael's Crafts or something. And then you have a jacket. And I'm assuming that it goes with this guy that came with the duck. This is the Penguin in his like underoo outfit. But you can go ahead and now give him a jacket. So it does sort of complete the look of this Penguin if you bought the duck. But McFarlane been all over the place with pricing recently. When this bundle went up, right, Batman Returns, I set an alarm. I had to get these figures. No question about it. But I was assuming, and I think everyone else was assuming, the 4 figures would be Penguin, Batman, Catwoman, and Max Shreck. Then I see Max Shreck is a platinum. That scares me, but he ended up being easier to get than these figures. So very bizarre. I mean, it's cool, I guess. It's a throwback, in a sense, to the Kenners, but did it need to be part of this wave, this bundle, and did it need to be priced the same full price as a deluxe theatrical figure? And on the subject of Penguin, let's bring in the mainline release. And here is the Penguin. This is how you get him out of the packaging. And then for extra accessories, got to throw on his top hat. And then he's got the umbrella. This one is just plain black. And the grip here, very tiny and not very flexible. So let's see if we can do it. So I had to hurt my fingers a bit, but there you go. There's the decked out Penguin. Tough standing on these little wobbly Penguins, but to compare it with that original. Now I was going to kind of gloss it over, but they're actually pretty different figures. So this is sort of the underoos, as I called it before. And then this is the more regal, the more mayoral Penguin. With that comes a whole new wardrobe. Now I'm going to take off this jacket. So you can see, I think just the arms and the hands and the head are the same, but the whole middle torso as well as the legs are different. And I was going to say all new legs, but I'm glad I checked my original Penguin. The Arkham one is using the same parts. Let's use him. And those are even the same color black. So the same legs. I also think the hat is the same across all 3 iterations of Penguin. But this is the first time it's a removable accessory. And again, we'll bring in this Penguin just to see the difference in the shirt. So you can see a different kind of tie, and he's got this vest over what I guess would be the same shirt. And I want to talk about this jacket, man. I mean, even this black one as well that came with the Penguins. I can already see the brown fur coming off. But this thing, this looks like some shit I'd take out of the dryer. I guess this won't break down. It won't turn into dust, but I think I can already kind of see it fraying. And this fur is losing pieces. So some questionable soft goods here. We'll see how this holds up, if it becomes kind of gross and dirty. I guess you got to take care of these things, obviously, but it's skeeving me out a little bit. I debated who was going to be main event, but I think up next we're going to look at Selina Kyle, Catwoman. And here is Catwoman out of the packaging. For accessories, we got the Cat Whip. Now this one's just kind of pre-pose. Whips are always a tough thing. You know, I feel like maybe a wire would be nice, but this is fine. This will work in most poses. And then we do get the Taser. And that's for the famous scene where she gives Max Shreck the kiss of death. And we have the Max Shreck head to sort of recreate that as well. But an absolute dream figure. Michelle Pfeiffer's.
Michelle Pfeiffer tried to mess with the Batmans. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Catwoman, all time. I did rewatch the movie like a month or 2 ago. And the scene that really stood out to me is Catwoman and Bruce Wayne in the ball, in the dance. And it's this incredible acting scene between the two of them, but her especially, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. Unbelievable, like, emotional scene she gives. Not to mention just the presence, the costume, the whole, like, sensual aura of Catwoman. Crushed it. And not a whole lot of figure representation. The one from the 90s doesn't really look like the movie, if I remember. And the likeness here is pretty good. Now, the camera might not get this across, but I think she's actually not pale enough in person. She actually has a more healthy, kind of rosy skin tone. In the movie, she's like stark white, corpse-like, Tim Burton style. So if that's my one nitpick, is that really I would make this closer to white than flesh tone. But other than that, great detail went into this, and it's pretty much all unique parts, or at least like retooled parts, because all this stitch work on the costume, on the helmet, on the legs, is all sculpted and painted. And that's kind of how it looks in the movie, right? It's pronounced. And as we move down into the torso, she's got this like corset piece going on. And I'd say in the figure, it's almost more pronounced than it is in the movie. I think maybe especially at the hips, maybe they made her hips a little too thin. So it makes the corset kind of flare out in a way that I don't really remember it doing in the movie. But again, that's pretty much a nitpick. Now these legs do kind of feel familiar to the other Catwoman figures, like especially the comic book ones. The sculpted detail says otherwise. Then another thing to note are these hands, man. The sharp claws kind of hurt when you touch them with your hand. This one's sort of a gesturing hand, and then this is the grip hand that you'd either use for the taser or the whip. So you can't really hold both at once. But really incredible. I mean, catching it at certain angles. I think the profile they nailed, the back of the head, like there's angles in the movie that you sort of remember. The ending of the movie, she's sort of looking up in the rooftops. That's all here, man. That's captured. Beautiful stuff. So with this corset piece, there's no upper torso movement. It's all being done at the bottom. You would think there'd be some kind of a cut here, but I guess it's like glued on. Now the rest of it's pretty standard. I think this is pretty similar build engineering to the comic book Catwoman figures, which I forgot to bring out for this. And this is what I wanted to see compared with the other cinematic Catwomans. We got the Zoe Kravitz version and the Anne Hathaway version from the Dark Knight trilogy. This is great stuff. I think Catwoman especially has never been a miss. All three of these ladies, beautiful, crushed it as Catwoman. I'm a simp for all three. And this is great. I think this is probably the definitive figure for all three of these. This Selina from the Dark Knight may have had a Mafex, but otherwise, like, this is awesome. I think when we're looking at the end of McFarlane with DC, this is their greatest achievement, getting all these movie character classic Batman films. And here she is with the Penguin and with Max Shreck. I think this works pretty good. She's wearing the heels. I also have her on a stand. Here she is with the Jim Carrey Riddler, the Tommy Lee Two-Face. And then here she is with Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze. And let me say this Poison Ivy skyrocketed in value. And I think this Catwoman is a far superior character, a far superior, there you go, cultural icon. So definitely pick up this Catwoman if this Poison Ivy is any indicator. Also wanted to see this. The Batgirl from this movie. I love this figure. It's really underrated. That's a cool little combo right there. And finally, I am boned up for this one. The Keaton Batman. Let's get it. And here he is. Keaton out of the packaging. For accessories, we got a pair of fists on the figure, pair of gripping hands that come with them that can hold either the bat grappling hook or the batarang. This is the figure of the year. Keaton. Unbelievable. So excited to really dig into this guy. And it all starts right here. Look at that neck. Look at that fat neck on Keaton. That is what I'm talking about, right? Look at the poster right here. Look at that expression. There's a specific, like, stock image or promotional image I'm thinking of that they captured perfectly. It's almost crossing into caricature territory, but I think of it this way. If I take this Batman, stand him up, try to stand him up, I look at him from way across the room, that's Keaton Batman. No questions about it. They completely nailed the shape, the aura of Keaton Batman with this one. We got to bring in this guy, the 89 Batman. And this thing just looks like a joke in comparison. Now, the suits are different, so you need this one. But I think absolutely, McFarlane, you still got about a year left, so you say. You got to get a redo of this guy. We got to bring in the Keaton Batman from The Flash to complete this timeline, this trilogy, if you will. And this is a great figure. It looks like Keaton did in The Flash. He looked different. Obviously, it's 30 years later. But this was the Flash Batman. It was never going to be a stand-in for the proper 89 and now the Batman Returns. But now looking at him, like, looking at these two, I feel like you got to be ashamed of this one. Look at this guy. I mean, it's fine, I guess. Even the one with the bat wings that I reviewed, it's a fun figure, especially with that feature. But this is you versus the guy she told you not to worry about. The absolute Chad Keaton Batman. He is actually reusing a fair bit. So the legs, crotch piece, the hands, the arms, the biceps, all that is reuse. So really, it just comes down to the torso, the cowl, and the head. But that makes all the difference in the world. I mean, the torso is fine on this one, but even this, I like the more broad shape of him. Even though Keaton, you know, I guess is a smaller guy. Maybe this is more accurate. But he had aura, he had presence, and that's what this brand new Bat Keaton has. And back to that likeness, beautiful Keaton likeness. And in terms of how it's engineered, you almost didn't even need this, right? I said this when I reviewed one of the Keaton Batmans. This could be one solid piece with no articulation, and I'm fine with that. That's how it is in the movie. He has to do a full look around, right? But if you're going to articulate the neck, this is the way to do it. He can really only swivel, which is fine. It's more than he could actually do in the suit. And he's got that fat, juicy neck. Of course, the more classic Batman symbol as compared to the 89 suit that had these extra sort of wing little divots in there. And then the more armor-plated suit. Can't forget the wired cape, always a nice touch. We sort of hit or miss recently with wired capes or just flopping capes. So glad to see, at least on this deluxe theatrical figure, they deem us worthy of getting a nice wire in there. So we already did this, but again, here's all the other Keaton Batmans. I'm having a hard time standing today, but here we go. Thought it'd be fun to bring out the other Batmen of the 90s. We got Kilmer and Clooney. This Kilmer, I guess I just opened it, I put him away. Got some weird coloring on this guy. And this Clooney, this disgusting, slimy, sticky, gummy cape on this. Gross. But it is a great figure otherwise. And here he is with Max Shreck and Alfred. And again, just a total testament to the McFarlane line, and especially what they've done with these Batman movies. Here's our big three of the wave. Catwoman, Batman, Penguin. Batman Returns, baby. That's what it's all about. And here's the rogues, man, of the original Batman 90s movies. I don't think this has ever been done in one line. I mean, if you want to count the original Kenners back in the day, I guess that was the same line. But no modern figure company has done what Todd has done here. I was going to say a complete collection, but that's not true. First, let me put Shreck in here. That's not fair to him. But we need Bane. That should have been the Build-A-Figure. Even in the Forever wave, rather than that big bat, just give us a Batman and Robin Bane. And then Joker, man, that's the huge one. That's the guy who started all this. And there's no Jack Nicholson Joker. Now, I know there's some deal with, the likeness is too expensive or he doesn't want to give it up or, it's hard to reach Jack Nicholson. I don't know, Todd. Sell one of your baseballs or something. Pull up to this guy's house. We need a Jackie Nicholson. I think there is one rumored, but it's going to be based on the Kenner figure, not with the likeness, but from the same, but with the same costume. I guess that's fine. If we need that, I'd rather have that than nothing. But still, beautiful setup here. That's going to do it for Batman Returns, finally, from McFarlane Toys. Now, I will say the Penguin minions, I don't think that's worth it. They're kind of just tchotchke, in my opinion. Catwoman, dream figure, and the Batman Keaton, like I said, could be figure of the year. Let me know if you guys are into the cinematic Batman figures. Are you passing on these? Can you even find them? Are they selling out? I don't know how rare these are right now. I got my pre-order in and I haven't looked back, so I would say out of any figure in this wave, pick up Catwoman. She is probably going to go up. But with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.